Okay guys, today we're going to be talking about adding and subtracting integers. So I hope this little short lesson helps when you guys are simplifying integer operations. So the only thing you have to remember at the very beginning is that if you ever have the situation in which we have a positive and a negative next to each other, anytime you guys have that, the negative will always win. So anytime you have a negative and a positive, it's always going to end up being a negative. Even if it's the backwards, if you say have like a positive and a negative or a negative and a positive, like this way, doesn't matter which order it is. It's kind of like the same idea with multiplication. Positive times a negative or negative times a positive will give you a negative, same idea. So if you have the two operators, positive and negative next to each other, you're always going to get a negative. Okay, that being said, first situation, we have a positive and a positive number. So it's going to be positive 10 and then positive 8. So those two numbers are positive, so that should be simple to do. Whenever you have the same sign, the sign stays the same and you add them up. So it's going to be positive 8, positive 10, it's positive 18. Sign stays the same, add them up. Negative and a negative, same exact story, except you have negatives in front. So let's say we have a negative 10 minus 8. Sign stays the same, and we just add them up. So it's going to be a negative 18. So positive, positive, add them up, stays positive, negative, negative, add them up, stays negative. Negative and a positive, so negative and a positive, let's say you have something like this, like negative 10 plus 8. That's going to give you a negative 2. Why is it a negative 2? The sign, you have to subtract, and the sign in front of the bigger number, that's the one you're going to keep at the end for the final result. So you subtract them, you keep the sign of the biggest number, which in this case is a negative 10. Same idea in the other situation where we have, for example, positive 10 minus 8. The biggest number is positive, so this time the answer is still going to be 8. This time still the answer is going to be 2. So you're going to be subtracting those two numbers, but the answer is going to be positive 2. Okay? So same sign, keep the sign the same, add them up, different sign, keep the sign of the bigger number, subtract them. And then we have mixed problems. Let's say we have something like this, like negative 16 plus 4 plus 8 minus 12 plus 3. I don't know, I just made that problem up. So there's many different ways of doing this. You could add these two, simplify that, and then add 8 to that, simplify that, and then subtract 12 from that, simplify that, add 3 to that. Or you could do negative 12 plus 3 first, and then negative 16 plus 4 first. Find those two results, and then add 8 at the end. There's different ways of doing this. I personally like to keep the negatives with the negatives, the positives with the positives, and then simplify the final result. So I'm actually going to combine the negative 16 and the negative 12 and the positives, which is the 4, the 8, and the 3 together, and then simplify the result of that. So negative 16 minus 12, that's going to give me a negative 28 for the reason as we mentioned above. So we just basically add them up. The sign stays the same because we have negative and negative. Same idea with the positive, positive, positive. So we're going to add them up. 4 plus 8 plus 3, that gives me 15. The sign stays positive because they're all positive. Now the final result, well, this is the time where we have to figure out, okay, we have negative and a positive, which means you have to subtract because we have the same situation up here. So subtract them, keep the sign of the biggest number. So if I subtract these two, I'm going to be getting negative 28 plus 15, which is 13. So subtract 28 minus 15 is 13. Which one's bigger? Well, the negative one is bigger, so the answer is going to be negative 13. This will be your final result. Okay, so if they give you, sorry, I didn't show that. If they give you something in the form of like another mixed problem, like negative 16 plus negative 4 minus positive 8, blah, blah, blah. So it's the same exact thing, but as we mentioned earlier, we have a negative and a positive next to each other. The negative is always going to win. So this problem just becomes negative 16 minus 4 minus 8. So if you ever have a positive and negative next to each other, the negative one is always going to win. And if you remember from the rules, well, basically negative, negative, negative. You got to add them up, keep the sign the same. So the answer for this particular problem that I just made up is negative 28. Okay, I hope this helps. Good luck.